Hi everyone, it's Kelly from the Hub, here today with our friend Brittany Mellinger from the Lancaster Housing Opportunity Partnership, otherwise known as LHOP. Hello there, my friend.
Hi Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing very well. It's been a bit since we've seen you, and there has been a lot happening on the housing front. So let's do a little update about how
That sounds
things
great.
are, if people need help, how they can do it, all that kind of stuff.
That sounds great. Well, there's a couple items that I wanted to update you on before we've talked about rental assistance that's available to households that are renting. As we're taping today on the 4th, the rental relief program is closing.
Yep.
So that's the state program that was offering rent through the Lancaster County Redevelopment Authority. So if you do have your application in, that includes the tenant application, the landlord application, and the household certification form. If all of that's submitted, they will continue to process that application. Even if you need to submit some supporting documentation, you can still be eligible for those funds, up to 6 months of assistance. However, if you didn't apply to that program, if you aren't qualified for that program, there are other funds that you can access. So that's through the Eviction Prevention Network. So Kelly at the Northern Hub is a partner, as well as Effort Area Social Services and social service hubs throughout Lancaster County. So if you aren't sure where your nearest social service hub is, you can reach out to 211. So you can either call 211, you can text their number, or submit an email through their website, and someone will reach out and can screen you for the program and connect you to the nearest provider.
Yeah, you could also just leave a message under the video, and then I'll know, and we'll chat, and I'll tell you, ask you where you live, and send you over to whoever you need help with. But yeah, so just because that program is over does not mean you can't qualify for other programs. So there are other programs out there too. So that's still fine. All right, so one program is done, but there are other things. We've got a lot of other partners from the Hub who help us with that too. Tabor, LHOP, all the friends that you've talked with before.
Yeah, absolutely. So that can help out with housing, but also utility assistance. So if you're in need of utilities, please reach out as well.
Yep.
So you may start to get shut-off notices if you're in a municipality that's governed by the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission. So they've got some protections in place. They can get you set up with payment plans, assistance, all that stuff. So if you have questions, you can reach out to a hub, you can reach out to CAP's Utility Assistance Program, or you can reach out to Kelly and she can connect you with the right folks.
Yep.
That way we can make sure that you're connected with the right assistance plan. But we do know that utilities are very important to housing stability, especially as it's getting colder. So if you are needing assistance on that front, please reach out as well.
Perfect.
Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about is the CDC eviction moratorium. So
that's the one where you get the sheet, right? And you look at all the things on the sheet and you say, yes, 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 yes. And then you can show that to your landlord, and then they won't evict you theoretically until, wait, is all that right?
Basically.
Okay.
So
because
you're
some
right.
of these things are really complicated, right? It's hard to keep it all straight.
And things change pretty frequently. So I totally understand if there's confusion. So unlike previous eviction moratoriums, this CDC eviction moratorium, you need to submit a declaration form in order to be covered, like Kelly mentioned. So there's a declaration form. It's available on the CDC website. It's also—
Or let me know, I'll send you one.
Kelly can hook you up with one as well. So I'm just going to go over the basic points so that way you understand what you're signing, because it's actually pretty important that you only sign it if it applies to you.
Right.
So you have to sign, and it states that that you've used best efforts to obtain all available government assistance for rent or housing.
Okay.
So if you would have applied for the Eviction Prevention Network or the Rental Relief Program, programs like that, that would qualify. You need to earn no more than $99,000 in the year if you're filing your taxes as a single person, or $198,000 if you're filing a joint tax return.
Good. So that allows it to, for a lot of kinds of people to qualify for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be unable to pay your full rent or to make your full housing payment because you've either lost your job, lost income, lost hours, or you've had extraordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses. So if your income has been impacted by COVID-19, you want to make sure that that's the case for this eviction moratorium declaration. This wouldn't necessarily apply to folks that, normally are on a fixed income and just can't make it. It would be folks that have had a change in their income and a decrease or an increase in their expenses.
Okay.
You need to certify that you're using your best efforts to make timely partial payments as close to full payment as possible. So the expectation is that you're going to be working with your landlord, talking with them, paying as much as you can, because this doesn't remove the obligation for you to pay rent. You need to state that if you were evicted, you would likely become homeless, move into a homeless shelter, or live double up with folks in close quarters because you don't have other available housing options. This eviction moratorium was put into place because they want to prevent COVID-19 from spreading. So their concern is that if folks are losing their housing, having to stay with other folks or live in a transitory state, that might increase the spread of disease. That's why it was put out. Another part of it is that you understand that you do need to still pay rent or other payments that are your obligations under your lease. So any fees, penalties, interest, anything like that still applies as long as it's in accordance with your lease. And the last point is you understand that at the end of this eviction moratorium, at the end of December 31st, 2020, your housing provider may require full payment and they can pursue eviction in accordance with other state and local laws at the end of this moratorium. And that your requirement is that you don't do any false or misleading statements in your signature of this declaration form. So if all of that is true, all of that applies for you, sign it. Sign a copy for every single adult in your household and send it by certified mail to your landlord or by email, but make sure you keep a record of the email that you've sent there. So that way you've got a record that you've submitted it. If your landlord has already filed against you, we recommend that you submit a copy to the courts as well. So that way they're aware that this declaration has been signed and has been provided to your landlord. Now, there have been some changes with this. This came into effect in the beginning of September, but in October, the CDC issued additional guidance, which stated that landlords can take steps towards eviction. They can't get the order for possession, but they can take steps. Now, in Lancaster County, the president judge, Judge Ashworth, had issued an order which provided some additional guidance to the courts on how to process these. So he amended that last week, which allowed landlords to issue notices to quit, to file for court, to proceed with the court date, but the landlord would not be able to obtain the order for possession.
So that would mean that you may still have to go to court to talk about the eviction, but it doesn't mean that you would be out on the street.
Yes, it means that you wouldn't actually lose your housing until the end of December, but they could take steps to get that process moving since it does take some time.
Right. Okay. All right.
So one other important change is before this amendment happened by President Judge Ashworth, landlords couldn't really double check if what you said was true on the form. But now they have a mechanism where if they believe that what you signed is false, they can petition the court to hold a hearing, present proof of this, which would invalidate your declaration. So that's why it's important that you read it thoroughly, you understand it, and you only sign it if it does apply to you. Now, the burden of proof is on the landlord to provide proof that you might not be income eligible or that you haven't applied for rental assistance, things like that. And in which case you would have the opportunity to appeal, or if your situation would change and it would now apply to you, you could certainly submit a new declaration, and that would put a halt on the process again. But it does provide a mechanism that didn't necessarily exist before last week.
And we absolutely know that some of this and some of these things can be complicated, and that you might have to talk it out. You may need you may need to be able to, talk with someone. If you need that kind of help, please let us know, and we can, certainly match you up with someone who best fits your situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last thing I wanted to mention is that LHOP is a resource for fair housing information. And we are aware that there are some fair housing issues that have happened throughout the nation because of the COVID-19 crisis. We have heard that there have been instances of individuals being discriminated against based on their national origin because there has been an association with COVID-19 from where it started in China. Now we know that has no bearing on folks of Chinese descent and their likelihood to have COVID-19 or spread COVID-19. There's no association there. So there should be no difference in the way those individuals are treated in their housing. If you would feel that way or you'd have further questions about that, please reach out to me. I would love to have a conversation with you about that. I also wanted to let you know that individuals with disabilities do have the right to request reasonable accommodations or modifications in their housing in order to be able to fully use and enjoy their housing. So if you as an individual have contracted COVID-19 and that's impacted your ability to complete activities of daily living, and you need a reasonable accommodation from your landlord in order to be able to use your unit, give us a call. If you're an individual with a disability that would be highly susceptible to COVID-19 and you need a change in your inspection schedule, or any kind of routine maintenance or visits from your landlord, you can certainly make that reasonable accommodation request as well. There needs to be some nexus between your disability and your need for the accommodation, but I'm happy to talk with you about any documentation you would need to submit and that process and your rights throughout all of that.
Yeah, this has been complicated to say the least. For everybody who's working in the housing industry. So we are incredibly thankful that we have such a great partnership with LHOP to be able to give you guys this kind of quality information. Housing is a complicated thing in and of itself. And let's just say COVID-19 has made things, well, significantly more challenging in this universe. So truly, if you have any questions, reach out to the hub. And if it's not with us and you want to have help with some other place in the county, feel free. We can certainly hook you up. Sometimes we can answer those questions quite quickly. Sometimes we need to send you over to Brittany so that you can get some real expert advice depending on your situation. So Brittany, as always, thank you times a million.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Everyone.